back. It's Kamish, back here with Week 12 game previews. The last week before the flex week, so remember next week's a flex game. And I'm not going to get into all the details on how that's going to get worked out. I will explain to everyone the reasoning behind the games, and just remember how the tiebreakers work. So for some of you, I'll kind of explain some of that as we go along here. But let's just get into it. We got the first one there, Krista and Storm 7-4 versus Danny and Alright. It's a 3-8. For Krista, 4 straight wins, and you know, at one time it was 3-4. Now it's with the 7-4, holds the North Division lead at the moment. Looking better down the stretch here. Obviously, Wilson and Baldwin getting it done for her, for the Seahawks fan. For Danny and Alright, you know, Gio Bernard goes down, so now that Melvin Gordon trade is actually looking pretty good. You know, Gio Bernard going down with the torn ACL this late in the year. Obviously, he probably won't be ready to go for the start of next season. So, Danny will have someone good to go there for him for Melvin Gordon. So, we'll see how that trade will work out as time goes along. Next one, we got Lucas, Green Lightning, 7-4, taking on Chris and True North, 3-8. It's a North Division battle. These two teams obviously have played each other. True North is 2-0 versus Green Lightning. Last year was a thriller. True North only beat Green Lightning by 1.09 points. So obviously these two teams have a history with one another. Obviously things didn't work out for Chris this year, but for Lucas, I mean, tough loss last week to Deflator. I mean, a team that's not even really active, and because of that, it's a must-win for Lucas. Pretty much how you got to look at it is like this: if Lucas loses this week, he's done. Krista and Storm wins the North Division. If Lucas wins, even if Krista loses, it will set up a Week 13 Dream Flex matchup, Storm versus Green Lightning for the division. So, obviously, it's going to be a huge couple of weeks here for both teams, and should be interesting to watch, so we'll keep an eye on it. Next up, we got Robert Templars, 8-3 versus Ron and Steel Curtain, 3-8. Obviously, Robert, he's going to be looking for a clean sweep of that East Division, which, you know, isn't really hard to do, to be honest. Question marks though for Robert and Templars. A concerning loss to LOC Commander. You know, it looked like he had the #1 seed all but locked up. Now that loss to LOC Commander has put him in a tiebreak situation where he's not the #1 seed. So we may look back on that game and wonder if that was the one that maybe pushed his season over the edge, but you know, only time will tell. But either way, Robert definitely is going to be in the playoffs, and again, we are this year's East Division champ back-to-back. So next up, we got Milan in the 6, sitting at 4-7 versus Steven and US1, 4-7. Two original owners that I have a ton of respect for. Happy you guys are in the league. These two teams met 2 years ago, and US1 actually took out Milan by 34 points. So Steven's 1-0 versus Milan. Really, what it comes down to with this one, it's the ultimate pride game. I mean, two original owners, a chance to try to get at least 6-7 for the regular season with a win here, and a win next week. So obviously the ultimate pride game, and we'll see how it works out for this one. Next up, Brandon and Deflator at 6-5 versus Mark and LOC Commander, 4-7. Huge win for Mark there versus Templars. I mean, that's a character win for him, to be able to bring down a big, powerful original owner like that. I really hope he gets a win against Deflator here, just for the sake of the league. I don't think Deflator is going to run into any tie breaks for the playoffs. I would probably use the Week 13 flex game to make sure he doesn't, just because he's not really active and we know he's not going to be there. So I don't want him in the playoffs, because it would definitely be brutal to see Deflator get a playoff spot. I just don't think it's the right thing to do. Next up, huge game. It's the Commission Stars sitting at 8-3, taking on Fighting Geese sitting at 7-4. Looking at it here, obviously two original owners. They have a history with one another. It's a 1-1 split. Fighting Geese won last year by only 2.18 points, and then the year before that, the Commission beat Geese by 21 points. So both teams have always been competitive. This is a huge game for both. You know, looking at it, Geese, unfortunately, Zach Miller done for the year after the injury there last week, so that's definitely going to hurt you at tight end. You know, but Dak Prescott continues to impress. And it should be interesting to see which Cowboys rookie has the bigger game in this one. Obviously, I got Elliott. Geese has Dak. So, should be interesting to do. You know, for the commish, I can only say I'm grateful right now. I'm healthy. That's all I can ask for. Obviously, with some of the injuries that have been happening recently, you know, I decided to turn the page on Sammy Watkins and 8P, and I'm glad I did. I got some pieces back and some draft picks for next year. So, should be a huge game, huge implications. So, looking at the tie breaks for you, Luke, you're going to be interested in this. If I win this one, I win the division. Looking at the tie breaks, and I'll explain it all to you. So obviously, Luke, you need Geese to win big here, because if Geese wins and you win, it'll set up next week for the division, me versus you. And I have a ton of players on the bye, so you're definitely going to be rooting for Geese in this one. It's going to be a great game. Lots of implications in this one. Next one, another huge game. I love these huge games here late in the year. Ryan and Deuce Bombers 7-4. Taking on Gwevin and Monsters of the Midway 8-3, a huge West Division showdown. You know, if Deuce Bombers wants any hope of winning the division, it has to come here. Not only for Deuce Bombers, though, not only is a win here important to try to capture the division, but a playoff spot. Right now, you're on the outside looking in. You had a 6-game winning streak going. That just ended, and now you got a huge one here against Monsters, and a must-win. So the 6-game winning streak will go all for naught if you don't find a way here against Gwevin. So, no doubt about it, this one again is going to be one I'll be keeping an eye on, one I'll be watching, and should be fun to watch. And good luck to both teams there. Next up, we got Brian in the 12th man at 7-4, taking on Mike in the CDC at 3-8. Really tough week, obviously, for Brian in the 12th man with all the injuries. Looks like some of them are going to be able to come back, but, you know, will it be too late is the question. You know, looking at your lineup, though, Brian, you know, you can't really complain that much. You still have 3 starting running backs in Ingram, Hill, and Rawls. A lot of teams would be begging to have that at this time of the year. And you got an easy one here against Mike in the CDC, so it'll be interesting to see. You're obviously probably going to get a W here. And it should be interesting to see what the flex games are going to be like for a lot of teams, obviously, with these last 3 huge ones I've just explained about. So, it's going to be a great one to watch. Next up, Stinker of the Week. It's 2 teams out of that great East Division we've always talked about. Both teams are 3-8. It's Sean and Haha Dix and George and Pack Attack, 2 original owners. I mean, George is the first ever champion here, so I think he admittedly said this year was going to be a bad year for him. For Dix, though, you've always been here. You've never been good, and that's why you're in this stinker, man. To me, George has been the better owner by far. Obviously, he has a championship title. He's been taking better advantage of the waiver wire claims, I've noticed, compared to you, Sean. And he's also set himself even better, I think, for next year's draft than yourself. So, really what it comes down to, though, guys, is the East Division is a joke, and this is to both of you owners. You need to bring some respect to that division and help Robert out in giving this guy a little bit of competition, alright? So get out of this Stinker of the Week, and we won't be insulting you week after week. Next up, Game of the Week. It's going to be Luke and Too Good for a Name at 7-4, taking on Joshua Cry Phoenix 8-3. Lots of awesome games on the docket this week, and the reason why I chose this one is because these guys are 2 new owners. And, you know, I've had the questions in the other tiers of, you know, how's a new owner going to move up and take over a team and finish last and do good? These guys are prime examples. I mean, Joshua took over a little bit of a better team. He was the best qualifier coming up, and we had more new teams enter the league this year just because, again, this is only year 3. But you can see now there's only going to be 3 new owners moving up. Tier 2 and Tier 3 might have a little bit more owners and doing some movement, but for the most part, the LOC is solidified. And, you know, these 2 new owners are perfect for the LOC. I mean, you look at Luke. He took over the last place team, a joke of a team. And here's a guy sitting at 7-4 and also a chance to win the South Division. Obviously, a huge game here for you, Luke. Obviously, you're going to be scoreboard watching with what I just told you. Like I say, I'll explain the tiebreak to you. But for Joshua, you're in the driver's seat right now. with what you got going on there. Have winning the tiebreak in the West Division. So it's really up to you. All you got to do is keep winning, and you'll win that West Division. Obviously, if you and Gwevin both win, again, I love the flex games, guys. This is why I did it. It would be you versus Gwevin for the West. And, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So, obviously, you can see my excitement for Week 13. I'm very excited about the flex scheduling. I hope you guys are too. I think it's just going to be awesome to have possibly 3 games that could be for the division, or obviously there's going to be some for a playoff spot as well. So, anyways, guys, good luck for Week 12. I'll see you guys on the fantasy field, and good luck.